remains disproportionately low, especially where young people under the age of 35 constitute only 1.5% of parliamentarians across Africa. This morning, we are talking to Innocent Natukunda, NUP coordinator for Toro sub-region, as well as Jacqueline Campera, NRM mobilizer. These two have youthful perspective on exactly what must and ought to happen if the youth dividend is to be achieved across Africa. You're most welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
All good.
Great.
Yes.
Mr. Natukunda.
Yes, Chris.
How is Toro sub-region?
Toro is good. We love our culture, we love our climate, we love environment. We are lovely people and hospitable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, tomorrow is the election of national youth, female youth MPs, and this particular position has been brewing a bit of debate over the years, especially when it comes to inclusivity. Let's begin with Madam Jackie Campera on this particular issue. First and foremost, I would be remiss if I don't ask what your view is on what has just transpired in the country, the election of a president, MPs, as well as local council leaders. What do you see and how do we move forward, especially for the challenges that could have occurred and need to be rectified?
Yeah, thank you so much for giving us the platform. First, the youth and also the media, the role of the media when it comes to communicating to the general population so that they have the information they need to make the decisions they have to.
That's right.
So I think for me, for the time I started voting and for the time I understood what elections are all about, this has been the most peaceful election for me. Why? Because across the country, I don't know if, Chris, you went out and saw what was happening in different polling stations. You would not see what we had to see last year elections. They were peaceful, people would come and vote, and they would go home peacefully. Then when it comes to the youth this year, this term, we've seen more young people engaging, and I am selfish to say, looking at young women. I am actually inspired by Shamim coming, that young girl coming in, and then we have, I think, from Mukono as well, a young person coming in power and taking very powerful positions. So you can see that at least the government has made sure that anyone, if you're out there and you're a young person or you're female, you have the space to come and contest. You would be shocked when even in NRM, we were looking at young people taking away these giants that have been here serving for 30 years. And to me, that speaks volumes to what this government has done. Now, in terms of what could have gone wrong, me as a person, I'm not happy about it, but I think there is room to correct it. I think there is room, but we cannot correct it if we are mixing it with what did not happen. False information is false information, and we cannot correct that when we say, you know, I was slapped. Then another person says, I was shot. So we need to understand what exactly transpired. And that is where we need you, the media, to put out the information that is right for the public to know what exactly went wrong and what exactly went right.
Okay. I think before I find myself on the back foot as a representative for the media in this particular discussion, we've just read a story where our reporter was brought to the fore what happened in Butambala and exactly what transpired, including the accounts of eyewitnesses. And I think the police and the government statements on that particular issue are wanting, no doubt, and we hope an investigation comes through so that the story can be as truthful as it ought to be. Mr. Natukunda, this time around, there has been so much attention when it comes to youth elections, right from the primaries. And I think it represents a changing pattern. I do not know whether it's conditioned by the emergence of more actors or that government, as Jackie says, has finally stepped up the rhetoric of not only giving lip service in as far as youth endeavors are concerned, but actually empowering them.
Thank you, Chris, and the viewers. I would also have done a disservice to myself if I didn't comment on the elections where I participated as a candidate. So allow me to do that before we switch to that.
All right.
We might be here in the country thinking everything is right, and that would be a disservice to me as a candidate for Member of Parliament in the Mwenge North Chenjojo District.
North Chenjojo
I was running on the NUP ticket, and different from what my sisters just said, what I saw was more of a military operation, and it gave me the true version of what type of government we have as a country. I must tell you that during the polling day, most of our agents were suppressed by military and police to run out from polling stations. Some were arrested. Those who, in spaces where they wanted to portray some kind of humanity, they coerced them and tried to buy them off so that they live on their own without showing a picture to the community that actually they don't want them on the polling day. But even before that, in Western, most of our candidates were bought off through coercion by the regime. I am one of the people who was approached with millions of money.
I was just going to ask for evidence. How do you begin to allege that you were bought off?
Many people were bought off. We saw we saw what was being posted on the hand of the Deputy Speaker, saying that these were withdrawn willingly. But of course.
So tell us about you.
Me myself.
Came to you, what was offered?
Me myself was approached, and
by NRM.
By NRM through the Deputy Speaker and the agents of the security, asking how much should we offer to you. Until I told them my career is not for.
What was your price?
I did not have a price. I told them my career, it was not raised like a goat or a cow that maybe at 5 years or 10 years I will sell it off. But I must assert clearly that by the time I chose not to receive any of those calls, the price had gone 300 million. And you ask yourself, instead of using this money to build roads, build hospitals, equip our schools.
You're making very serious allegations against the Deputy Speaker.
This is the system. That's how the system works. But going back to the question of the youth, Mr. Chris, the youth elections have sparked fire since 2011. Actually, I must assert that in the history of this country, we have not had a youth MP who is not NRM, apart from 2011, where we had Jared Karhanga go through as an independent. And the reason for that was that Jared Karhanga was underlooked as a weak candidate, and the regime concentrated on Thomas Tayebwa, who was a candidate for FDC. But since then, the regime picked interest to ensure that these seats are secured in their favor. 2016, you saw what happened in Fort Portal. General Tumugunda was shot in Fort Portal in an attempt of trying to secure this seat for the son.
For the son.
And this son was running against the son of Bright Ramrama, both who are bushwomen and highly militarized people. So the seat of the youth MP is seemingly becoming a reward to either sons and daughters of generals and war veterans or top government officials. You saw what happened in 2021, where Betty Kamya had fronted the son, and General Tumwine had also fronted the son, until the president intervened and removed all of them to pave way for Edson Rugumayo. So, whereas we think that these opportunities where the youth should be coming and competing favorably, we find that these are just reward slots given to few individuals to award them for what they have done for government and all that through. But by and large, we understand that when as the saying goes, that when the drum belongs to the thief, the songs praise the thief. Equally, when you look at the dictatorial government we are living in, all the songs and the praises and worship, they go in tendency to support the dictatorial regime. So to me, I think this election of the youth, making it appear the way it is, highly monetarized, highly militarized, like what we have just seen in Mbarara at entire high school, is just a part of supporting the dictatorial regime to continue doing what it does. Many Ugandans do not look at this government as a dictatorial regime simply because we are into what they call a hybrid regime. That this government has elements of a dictatorial government, but combined with some semblance of democratic features. Like they will allow elections to exist, even when they are sure they will determine which percentage someone will get. They will allow some simple wins here and there to ensure that the international community and the onlookers will say, but they have also won here. And I believe if there is any day that Ugandans must wake up to fight for democracy in this country, the time is now. Otherwise, we are living in the shadow of democracy and we have not tested on what actually democracy is as a country.
We have with us an ardent mobilizer of the national resistance movement.
Yeah.
She's big on social media platforms doing that work. I want to dive into the workings of youth leaders within the national resistance movement. Mr. Natkonda makes claim to the fact that there seems to be a wave and a transition where sons or children of Bush War heroes and those that either laid a foundation for the emergence of the National Resistance Army and later the National Resistance Movement are appearing to reward themselves. What do you see and what do you feel happening?
I think actually Chris and my brother here, Innocent, the discussion that we should be having is not about parents supporting the young people, because we need support from our elders.
No doubt.
And for you to say that parents, because what I can hear from this statement is that parents are supporting their children. A musician can support their child to be a musician, just like an athlete can do the same. So I don't see the problem. I wouldn't see a problem in future Innocent supporting their child to come through. Or even because yes, because the discussion and the topic today is, have we given the youth the platform? Have we given them the seat at the table? Are they in the rooms where decisions are supposed to be made?
And that's where the context for me is, how fairly does this happen for those that appear to have or come from families or settings that are aligned with the regime?
I really want
vis-a-vis those that are seeking political leadership from the outside.
I really want to say that from what I hear is that if my parent is from NRM, then I do not stand as a child to be anywhere near the parliament or any political position in this country. Is that what I can hear?
No.
Because
you're hearing something totally different.
No, because when you say, what I don't actually support is if they militarize the entire process, that it is not fair. That we do not support. That I do not support. Jacqueline Arinda speaking here. We do not support. But like I said earlier, is that sometimes we confuse what we call the security at these polling stations, which is needed with militarizing the whole process. But my brother here said was bribed and stated the person that tried to bribe him, and that is wrong. We do not support that. But if you're saying that their children are in parliament, or their children are coming in parliament and they are just ring fencing those positions for them, then that is something that we should discuss here, that actually NRM does not support it. And we've seen young people, even in NRM, from humble backgrounds, Chris, coming to the top. We have them. So what do you say about them? We have Innocent, who has come up. He's in Nope, but you have come up. But I can tell you back then, when the National Youth Council had been established, we didn't have those positions. A young person wouldn't stand. But me, I want to drive the conversation to what have we done with these positions?
Have you transitioned from tokenism?
Well,
as youth?
Let me tell you, because somehow we are seeing young people doing the mistakes that our elders have done. Because if you were bribed, I'm glad my brother here didn't take the bribe. If you're a young person and you're being paid to back down, then you shouldn't. But if we are given spaces like these ones to represent the young people, then we should represent them. What is happening, what you said in Western Uganda, it's not that the government supports it. No, it doesn't. It does not support that. But you should also bring evidence. It should be evident.
Evidence-based.
Yes. But let me also, I wanted to respond to my brother here who said that NRM has actually gazetted positions and very powerful historical people who have fronted their children in this. Well, I do not think that the political space just tells Chris, you come and just join. No, 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 no. That is why we need NOPE. That is why we need FDC. That is why you come up and show the people. It's not all about going forward with NRM is bad. No, I want to hear, Innocent, what you have to offer to that. To our young people, because what we have now is that when Innocent is given a platform, when a young person is given a platform, their manifesto is NRM is bad.
Now, I was actually giving
we should go beyond NRM is bad.
Whereby General Tumukunde is shot in an attempt to secure position for his son, who is standing with another NRM veteran's son.
Defeat him with your manifesto. Promise the people.
Does their shooting align with the security you're talking about that is supposed to be?
No, I do not support that. But I'm saying that in most cases, the young people with these positions, when we get to these Larry's campaigns, Chris, you can correct me. I have seen some young people, including NRM, they are not ready, even when you see them on the platform. They cannot sustain debates. We have our temper, we have entitlement, and somehow we have not even gone back to the history to understand what is leadership about. Why? Because maybe we have seen people abuse each other, and that's what we call campaigning. Maybe we have seen people attack each other, and that's what we think, that it is about campaigns. And Innocent, if you're saying even, this is Honorable, by the way, I should be calling him Honorable Innocent when he was contesting, when we were having a cup of tea, said no.
I see 2031 taking shape again. Submit.
Yes, so I want Innocent to tell me that these are the key fundamentals, and His Excellency states it. I remember in 2020, during the presidential address, said that we need to differentiate between the real economy, okay, and the real economy, and the voluntary economy. In fact, he simplified it and said there is that leisure economy, okay? And the youth, we are mixing the two, where we think that without food, without security, without health, without even jobs, we can survive in this. And then we start thinking that, oh, you see, we need internet, we need social media. Yes, we need social media, but can social media exist without the others? the basic needs of a human being. That's what I want to see young people speaking about.
All right, no doubt. Morning at NTV does amplify those issues, and many times the youth leaders that speak about them. We hope we can hear from many in the coming days. We shall be returning to the Kickstarter and expound more on how the channeling of youth leadership into the democracy. Let's return to the studio and continue with our Kickstarter discussion. And of course, many thanks to the correspondents there, Kenneth Odele, Julius Ochen, as well as Nakahira, who have updated us on exactly what's happening across the country in regard to national issues. We are discussing in the studio channeling youth leadership for democratic progress. We've already spoken extensively about what happened during the elections and where exactly the youth dividend stands. Are we making real progress, or is the youth issue continuously mired in tokenism? Those are some of the issues that you can want to dig deep into in order to understand whether the youth today can actually take on the mantle of leadership. We are joined on set by Barbara Nakandi. Barbara Nakandi is a young politician who has tested the murky waters of Uganda's politics at primaries levels, especially in the national resistance movement. We had discussed with Jackie Kampera and Mr. Natukunda Innocent on exactly what youth participation in politics is, what it ought to be. In a minute, before I step into the crux of the discussion that we had earlier, what is your experience as a youth leader? I know it's a hard one, but speak to us honestly. What is your experience as an emerging youth leader? You want to present yourself for leadership. You have contested in a position or two. Where are we right now?
A very good morning to you all, our dear viewers. I am Barbara Nakandi, an aspirant former for Western Youth Member of Parliament. I participated in the NRM primaries to begin with, and the experience was really an interesting one because this is an election that I expected to have been authentic, but it happened otherwise. And because of that, it forced me to come back as an independent, trusting that we have an electoral commission, which is a neutral body that would hear our views as the young people and, of course, the young leaders that have aspirations to change a generation of the youth. But it's very unfortunate, the experience I had last week with the Electoral Commission, a body that I expected to have been neutral, but I found that the body was sidelining with the other side. And as a young leader and someone who is rising up, it felt a little bit disappointing. You know, these are people that you expect that they are the hope, they are the people that should be giving us hope, but then you find that even the hope we should be having in them, it's not there.
What did the Electoral Commission do?
To begin with, our election, the Western Youth election, was supposed to be in Chebambe Girls Senior Secondary School. 5 days towards the voting day. Our voting day was on 28th of January, but 5 days towards the voting on 23rd January, the venue was changed from Chebambe Girls Senior Secondary School in Fort Portal to Ntale School in Barara City. As a candidate, of course, as you're campaigning, you will be informing voters that elections will be in Fort Portal City. And during that time, the internet was a little bit down. Now, going back to 38 districts to inform delegates that elections have been changed to Barara City, it was really something. It was really something.
The Electoral Commission for the challenge?
Yes, I actually wrote to the Electoral Commission. I wrote to the Electoral Commission. I even inquired. I even made a few calls why the venue had been changed from Fort Portal City to Mbarara City at a short notice. And the response I got, it is Commission's decision. How? Was it favoring someone? Because
that's the question we should be asking.
No, these are questions I asked them, and even up to now I have never gotten the right response
you do believe
to
that
them.
the commission has the mandate to change a venue?
But this was a very short notice, like 5 days towards the election, actually almost like 4 days towards the election. So that means either maybe one of the candidates in the race compromised them and had to...
Why would you think like that?
Yes, no, it's not an assumption, honestly, because even how our election was, there was a lot of, that very day of voting on 28th January, there was a lot of vote bribery, a lot of intimidation. Some of our voters, they would come and, an election, a youth election that involves UPDF, honestly. Was I contesting with a president? Was I really contesting with a president? An election that involves UPDF everywhere. People are moving, but they feel if we vote for an independent person, because by that time I was an independent candidate. Yes. Now everyone is like, oh God, how are we going to do it? And some of the voters kept on giving me calls. Barbara, are your votes, are you assuring us that you're going to make sure that your votes are safe? I kept telling them the votes are safe. But they kept on telling me, but the intimidation, how are you going to do about that? And now, some of these voters were NRM delegates. They were supposed to receive a certain facilitation. And now, someone came from nowhere claiming all those supporting independent candidates are not getting their NRM facilitation. Now, me as a candidate, honestly, these are people that are going to vote for me. Now, when you say that to the youth,
when you're contesting in primaries and you don't go through, so you expect the party, because the rules of the party are the moment you lose during primaries and you contest.
Listen, it's like this.
I want you to
let me be clear. These delegates were told there is facilitation that the Electoral Commission was giving, and them being NRM delegates, they were also receiving facilitation. Now these are NRM delegates who see a potential in an independent candidate, and they are being denied facilitation being NRM simply because they are supporting an independent candidate.
You've said it all.
I don't have to
delegates
now, are the voters.
And now these are the voters. These are the voters. They are being denied the right to vote for the potential candidates. So
you're saying NRM should support?
No.
I know what you're saying about the
conditions that were the conditions and the intimidation that was put onto the delegates.
So the
forced them to make decisions otherwise.
So they had to choose.
Exactly.
They get the money.
It's an indirect bribe to the voters.
Yes.
To vote for an NRM candidate.
It's like you're saying Innocent also should complain that NRM facilitated its candidates.
No, this is an electoral college. This is an electoral college. It is different from
to the voters.
It is different. Exactly.
An NRM candidate.
It's interesting that within an electoral college,
not NRM,
there is an allowance.
Facilitation was to the voters, so they vote for the NRM candidate, not the candidate. We know that parties facilitate their candidates, and it is okay. But should parties go an extra mile
to put a condition?
To put a condition and even facilitate the voters to come and vote for their own candidate, because that is bravery.
You have it.
If a delegate was standing and is a candidate maybe somewhere and they are voting on that day, and the party gives that delegate maybe facilitation to aid the campaigns and all that thing, we would understand. But here are candidates whereby now the voters are being braved. But because of maybe a lack of a better choice of words, or to paint, to sugarcoat it, they don't call it a bribe, they say we are giving facilitation to these voters so that they vote for the NRM candidate.
You see, what you're stating here is that you're saying NRM facilitated, which I am not sure.
Facilitated voters.
Yes, voters.
And actually, saying facilitated, we are just being polite and trying to sugarcoat.
Because
the right word is braved.
Because I want even the viewers.
The right word is braved.
The discussion that we are having, they should see that as young people that are seated on this platform, we are able to communicate to each other without shouting at each other and understanding the point. So I don't want people outside there to look at us and be like, oh, we are exchanging. And that's why I'm listening when you're speaking.
Some people don't understand in a low tone. You need to go to.
Let me explain it.
There is something I wanted to make them
understand.
Something I needed to leave play out naturally, and this is exactly where we are. That youth leaders today must understand that there is need for a transition from debate that is emotional to debate that is level-headed. And that is also a challenge in its own, because if you are unable at this point in time to be level-headed, there is no assurance that you will be when you step into leadership.
That is very correct.
And it's something that's happening across the country.
Could I say something on that?
Now, you will say so much a little bit later. Let me ask the question. Youth have been used in different ways. We've seen vigilantes. Some want to call them a gali. And it's very effective in political mobilization for different parties. The National Unity Platform is responsible, and this is at base level, for a rise in consciousness in political participation of certain youth sections and certain communities. This particular wave was met by the NRM also leveling up on what areas it had apparently or previously not given attention to. Meaning, reaction to NUP consciousness has elevated the national resistance movement consideration and appreciation of youth leaders.
That's true.
This one is a positive on all sides, but it poses a challenge. If youth consciousness is now higher, is consciousness for leadership equaling that? Are the people who are now realizing that we can actually contest and we can be leaders, are they truly able to lead? And that is where we are heading right now. I want to ask each one of you the question. Can the youth today take on the mantle of leadership without falling back on anything, including the fact that you expected to be there because apparently there has been a history of you not being there, so you're there, not necessarily because you can lead, but because you're being rewarded. How do you navigate that one? Let me begin with you. You seem to have that submission.
Thank you, Chris. I will refer to a publication made on 22nd of November 2017 by Dr. Okoth.
Dr. Okoth who?
Okoth Jowiz. In his article titled Dishonesty and Individualism is Killing Uganda's Moral Fabric. Many people in this country have learned keenly that through all ways they must navigate and also aid their own to navigate, regardless of the moral aspect of the story, regardless of how would the community perceive it, and because of that direction, we are actually in an era whereby the young people who have the ideas do not have the influence and favors based on the political situation in the country. I'll be sorry to even, but even why would I be sorry? I would be straightforward to say that there is a precedence that has been set by the president right away from, I think, 2012 or 2013, that he has always been trying to build a project which is now shifting Uganda from being a hybrid regime to a monarchy, whereby all the green lights have been so clear that since then he has been preparing the son to be the next president of this country. And because of that, each and every individual in this government, each and every individual in this country is also looking for a way how he or she can take the same steps to ensure that the son or daughter also gets in the position where he or she may be. It is at that very level that the young people who have ideas and the odds are not in their favor find it so challenging. What my sister is just narrating tells you, confirms to you what we have been seeing world over, that someone has influence. He can even choose where he wants to be voted from.
All right.
So it gives us limited space as young people who have the ideas and do not have the connection in a country that is, whose moral fabric is completely getting demolished. And that's the biggest challenge that we're having. But of course, like you said, political parties are raising conscience of the youth. How they do it is not that they are arranging sessions or trying to preach them ill gospel, but they are showing them the reality versus what should be happening. That's why young people say, no, enough is enough. I think where we're going is wrong. If
Jackie,
you have to make it professional in this country with integrity,
Jackie,
I can tell you that success remains a dream. But if you follow the trend and say, regardless of whether it is moral or immoral, let me push, you will be successful in 2 days.
let me downgrade it. The philosophy is too much, but
Innocent, no.
the National Resistance Movement Central Executive Committee, SEC, is a very youthful organ right now. If we take President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and Mr. Moses Kigongo away, but again, those two are widely seen as the actual decision makers, and that is also a bit of a bother when it comes to actually bringing youthful leaders onto board. This particular transition, does it bother the NRM mobilizers like you that youth leaders are there on the table, but the decision making is still largely dependent, or rather anchored on the older generation?
Well, I think you raise a very important point here. And my brother here, Innocent, has to accept and part way with the parents grooming their children. We've seen it happen in other countries. Actually, the ones that the ones that we benchmark, where we have seen children coming in to serve as presidents even after their fathers. But that's not an issue right now. My issue is integrating young leaders to the mainstream, and also not holding the National Youth Council as just a symbol to portray that we are supporting young people. But since you're quoting, I remember in 2017 as well, when the president was speaking to students in Makerere about that Mandela event, he said that it's up to us, the young people, to take on what our elders have done. If you're young and you have seen this government, what it has done, I'm sure there are good things. And Chris, I don't agree with people who come and say, no, everything is wrong. There is no fairness.
Absolutely.
You cannot say there is no fairness. I'm sure Innocent here is about to say, NTV did not invite me to speak. but yet it invited you to speak. What you said outside there is not about NTV. There was no script that NTV provided to you. You had a platform. What did you do with it? We have had Honorable Fiona Nyamtoro come in as a National Youth MP and serve as a minister. Now the question is, at the end of this time, we will ask ourselves, did she perform? Did she represent us? Did she show that any young person can be a minister? I think those are the things that we should be addressing. And to the young people and old people, we tend to think we are enemies. Your father doesn't want to accept that you've reached a point where you can make decisions. And then there are young people like my sister here who will come and do not have support, okay? Why? Because old people realize that, oh, maybe you're not yet ready. But even in our homes, in our communities, in our societies, it is after you have won the position that they take you in. But what do you do with that position? Do you come off like, because old people think we are energetic and somehow we are stubborn, big-headed. Then we have young people saying, actually young people, even including myself, we tend to say, no, Chris is old, should get out of that office. That's what we say. It's not about what has Chris done that we can correct, that we can take on, we can learn from. It's about Chris should get out of that position. And then when you look at even the campaign, we had the opposition leaders, they had young people from media to the people that were speaking for them. Nope, your secretary is very young. The treasurer is very young. Same on our side. I can't say same for NRM, but at least we have young people where we saw the president had young people. You recently saw Jazz with Jaja. So the mobilization was mainly, this time, was mainly about the young people taking position. But are they going to consider us during this term? Or the term will go on and then they resume talking back to the young people during the campaign? Exactly.
You've preempted the question I was going to put to Barbara Nakandi. Were you at the Jazz with Jaja?
No, I was not. The one for TikTok. Oh.
I'm an old man, I don't do it.
The one for TikTok?
I saw Jazz with Jaja on TikTok, on X.
Physically, I wasn't there, but I streamed it.
Do you appreciate that initiative?
Well, it was a very good initiative, and His Excellency would like to appreciate you for thinking about us, the young people, and TikTok being a platform that is used by a very wider number of youth. Yes, it captured very many people, and some people who didn't know, there are those youth who don't know even what the president does. So having that at least one-on-one on TikTok, they felt like they had him speaking to them directly.
That's an interesting thing, but let me be a little bit more specific. The president seemed to be talking to young people, not necessarily youth.
Young.
Okay? Young people. Now, young people could be even, as young as 14.
Even they could be below 14,
yeah, even
18.
below 10, as long as they are active. Do you like the fact that it is until, or rather talking to the young or the youthful must be something organized in a special way and not something that people do every day?
Well, it is not something that needs to be organized in a special way. For so long, the youth and the young people have been taken as people who are vulnerable, which is wrong. Yes, they have been taken as people who are vulnerable. It is wrong. These are people that are only sensitive.
Okay.
They are sensitive, but they are not vulnerable people. And because of that, just to come a little bit, I may speak about the election part, the question you asked, if the young people are in position to take the mantle of leading. Yeah. Yes, the young generation is in position to take the mantle. The challenge that we have is out of 100%, the 80% that goes through the young generation, most of these people, they have people who are behind them, an agenda. people who will come in with a lot of money to support them in their election simply because they have something they want to pass on through them. And because of that, you find that the 80% that goes through, only 20% has been effective in their leadership, because they are the ones that even carry on the mandate to pass on certain decisions. But you find that these remaining 60%, they'll still remain like this because someone else was behind them, and maybe if there is a certain decision they are supposed to make, they have to first inquire, and in the process the leadership of the young people is being killed.
Jackie, quickly, how do we get rid of godfathers and be able to make decisions based on young people's understanding of their realities?
I think first is to
make money.
No, is to make sure we work on our relationship with sometimes godfather comes off in a sense that it's bad, and which it is when some people use influence, like my brother Innocent was saying, the use of guns and office to intimidate the young people. However, I think young people outside politics as well, you need to do your networking very well. Why? Because you need mentorship. A godfather, to me, the description is your mentor. How are you getting into politics, Chris? How are you getting into politics, Innocent? You're not going to go there without a mentor, and they're making big mistakes of us going out there, Chris, and you're asking your peer to advise you on these matters of politics. You need a much older person who is going to guide you and tell you, these are the mistakes I made, and these are the things I think you can do better. This is how you should move. And this starts with, how do we speak? How do we communicate? Because in most cases, young people, when we are communicating, they think we are bitter, they think we are shouting. There is even a tendency that is growing where when you ask someone, can we have a leveled debate? And someone tells you, you're asking me who is being haunted, who is being hunted, who is being, I don't know, all names, to speak to you in a calm tone. I am bitter. So that gives me room to abuse you. That is the only way I can express myself. And then I ask myself, so how do you think you're going to rule this country? And you know where that comes from? Not having a mentor. If a godfather means a mentor, I think we need them.
Innocent Natkunda, yes. Who are your political mentors?
Chris, thank you so much. But before that,
who are your political mentors?
Innocent, who are they?
Definitely, my mentors. I would look at
Let me simplify that.
I would look at Nelson Mandela. I would look at Barack Obama. I would look
I think those are the people that inspire.
They inspire you. Mentors are people you deal with.
One-on-one.
You haven't talked to Mandela.
Is he that person that you can access anytime you have an issue, and then guides you?
Yes,
do you have another mentor? Because you don't have to have one mentor.
I can talk to him on call. I can.
Are you talking to any politician
apart from your president
who has been in the corridors of politics?
Yeah, I've been so much in touch with Honorable Tinkasimile Barnabas, and most of what I've done actually, he has an upper hand. Okay. I must mention that, and I'm proud to have him. But this is someone I've known for some time. But Chris, before I leave the microphone,
quickly, you have a minute.
Before we even think about mentorship, we should bring to the attention of viewers and also the panelists here, because I expected Barbara to talk about it and maybe you to ask about it and you didn't. Chris, do you know what it takes in terms of cost to win an election when you're standing as a youth? Vis-a-vis with how much a youth will have saved to contest?
That's a huge debate. Because if we open it right now, we might need another hour. Which
a youth, we are looking at someone who is between 18 and 35.
30. Actually,
okay, 30.
It's 30 by...
We are aware that if you went to good schools, and like some of us, you might have graduated around 23 or 24. But some of us even graduated at the age of 28 or even 30. So to get work, to get work and what to do, you probably need to struggle for other like 2 or 3 or even 5. Some even take 10 years to get what to do. how much will you have saved to be able to come into a youth election with $1 million for each voter, with $2 million for each voter, to be able to, that's how people get good fathers. And these good fathers are not coming for mentorship as she puts it.
You see,
they are coming as investors.
They
are coming as investors who want dividends, who want returns.
Are they paying our godfathers or they're paying our fellow youth? You see, the debate is about our fellow youth.
No, you're talking about mentorship. Why you need a godfather in the youth election is not mentorship.
If you say pay
sponsorship,
they are paying,
funding.
You're paying your fellow youth to give you a vote. So we are talking about not only a candidate, but even the voters, the young people. Why do you accept to be bought for a vote? We
are
want
living
to shift
in hard economic
from
times.
A transaction.
From here, your landlord is demanding.
It's hard to decline money. Is that what you're saying? It is
As
hard
young
to decline
people?
money as a young
For the
person.
young people,
is
it
hard for you?
Me, it's not hard.
Then it shouldn't
but
be
there
for
are
you.
other people. Me personally, I would like to appreciate the 404 voters who entrusted me with their mandate and believed in my vision of service beyond self. Now these are voters who sacrificed the 400K that was being delivered by my other colleague. Yes. Now these are people that saw a vision in Barbara and said, regardless of what, for us we are not going to go for the 400, we are going to go and vote for Barbara because we know that this is the candidate, the best choice for the youth in Western Uganda. Now, there is also that category of youth who will look at the 400K and they will be like, oh my God, that's a lot. So they decided to transact the 5 years for the 400K. And now you realize that the person who is sponsoring this candidate, they are not mentors. These are people who are investing. It's like they are investing into it. It's a business. They are investing in it because they know after some time there is something they expect to be getting from that.
They get their money and interest.
Exactly.
What we're talking about
a mentor is someone who will show you the direction, the right way, that this is how we are supposed to be doing things. This is the right way in leadership. If things don't go well here and here, this is the right way. But
are you aware? But mentor is not reserved for a candidate.
You said you were being limited when someone is submitting.
Not moderators.
No.
A mentor is for both ways, a candidate and a voter. I want you to also understand that.
Yes, I'm aware of it. Now, a mentor that is supposed to be showing the candidate that this is the way of going, this is the way of doing things. Now, someone who will decide to take off the direction of how the candidate should be, and then maybe they bring in other stuff. That is not a mentor. That is a business person. They are investing. They are investing, and then they are using the youth.
Who funded your campaign?
Me personally, I would like to appreciate my mother and my family members.
So there are other people, their fathers shouldn't?
For standing with me, for being there for me at all costs. At all costs.
All right. Honestly. I like the youthfulness and the vigor with which you guys have spoken about these issues. The reason I've been very reluctant to interject is to get this whole picture of the ability of youth to govern through dialogue. You know, how do you manage yourselves if you are at a contestation of ideas? That is very important. And when you talk about the fact that you should be able to speak not from an angry point of view, not from a point of bitterness, it is hard, I know, for a bitter person to calm down and talk to another person who might not necessarily be as bitter as them. But for leadership to happen, it calls for restraint. And the young persons, youthful leaders must reach that point. Either you choose to say, whatever bitterness it is that I have, I could have been bribed out of this particular race, I could have been, my supporters could have been influenced, move ahead of that and begin a new chapter. So what's the way forward for you? Now, are you going into another leadership trajectory, or you've said elections for now, since it involves a lot of 400K here and there? What's the way forward?
I was in an electoral college that involves youth leaders.
Okay.
Youth leaders in the National Youth Council. And these are leaders that are the chairperson of the sub-county, the chairperson of the town council, the female affairs of the sub-county and town council, as well as the finance of the town council and the sub-county. And these youth leaders, every time I got the opportunity to speak to them, I always told them, ninja kubesibaho, mbesibaho, until we serve our youth in our region, in Western Uganda. These are not just positions we are going to have and we'll be like, I'm the chairperson. What is your vision as the chairperson? You're the female affairs, and there are young ladies out there who are going through a lot. They are dropping out of school, and you have the position and you're seated on it. You're the finance and you're keeping nothing. So I always told them, meaning I'll tie myself on you until we serve our fellow youth. Even up to now, my dear fellow youth. I, Barbara Nakandi, I am very much willing to serve with you. And like I've always told you, the challenges we face as youth, they are beyond political parties. These challenges are beyond being independent. It is about us and our generation. We have a generation of youth to save. My fellow youth of Western Uganda, we really have a generation to save. When you look at our region in Western Uganda, given the fact that the president comes from our region, usually most of the people think that the West, people in the West, we okay. But it's not that. When you come to the grassroots, we are really not okay. Yeah. We are not okay, my fellow youth. So we have a generation to save.
He's okay despite the fact that he's not aligned to the president. You look okay, by the way.
So, of course, looks lie, and the reality will always come out. But if I was asked, just like what you asked her,
that is why I came to you.
I would definitely.
What's the way forward? Quickly.
I would definitely refer you to what I started with, that when the drum belongs to the thief, the songs praise the thief. So to bring this to order, I believe we need to get a drum that does not belong to the thief, so that we can align the songs and the praises. And maybe if I should be much more straightforward, I would say that it is very hard to build within a crippled democratic system of this country, but it would be easier for us to think new, pursue new, and deliver new to this country, so that each one of us is safe wherever he is. Otherwise, no one is safe in a sinking boat like this we are in. If was to come with to bring another boat that is much more safe for all of us, very much worth undertaking, and that is the only solution we can have for Uganda. Otherwise,
I can assure you,
where we are,
the solutions are many. We don't have only a single solution. Jackie, finally.
Yes, I want to appreciate the president and the chairman NRM for the peaceful elections that we had, and also giving the young people the opportunity to come out and engage with him, and he has been the greatest mentor that we have had in the party. And also would like to appreciate the CDF, because at least he helped in showing that the young people can take up the positions, believes in young people, and even the security that was given to the state. At least we had peaceful elections. But to the young people, what I leave with you is that these rooms have been created, platforms have been created. We must learn how to discuss issues to do with economics, issues to do with wealth creation, issues to do with our health and the security of the country. We cannot eliminate the fact that we need security in this country. If we are going to be leaders, we need security, but can we discuss about it? No. So to our Minister for the Youth, Honorable Baram, you have a lot of work to do, and I appreciate the work that you have done so far, but engaging with the young people like Innocent and Barbara, I think after elections, even if they lost, we need that gap to be filled.
Thank you very much. I'll urge each of you to engage, especially after here, but most importantly, go back and ensure that the systems that you have created at all levels actually continue to operate smoothly, so that the next phase of development that you need to engage or go for effectively achieved. Now let's celebrate a very young person. It's happy birthday.